Go live here. And okay, let's see what happens. Okay, welcome. We've got all the green ticks. This is Christina from Authentic Action Coaching, and I am joined by the beautiful Rebecca Riley. This is a week of Mental Health Awareness Week in May, and I noticed a few weeks ago that the theme is movement. So, of course, I thought, well, who are all of the beautiful, amazing practitioners I know that work with movement? And Rebecca very much came up. So, Rebecca, I'm going to throw it over to you. Do you want to introduce yourself and what it is you do?
I would love to. Thank you, Christina. So I am Rebecca, and I am a yoga teacher, and I also teach a little bit of aerial. Aerial as in the air. You can probably see some of the swings at the back. It's kind of yoga based movements, kind of lots of in the air movements. I like anything that where your feet's not on the ground, Christina, basically.
That's the rule of thumb. I love that so much. Thank you, Rebecca. So I think the conversation, I mean, we had a lovely chat leading up to this. We kind of sometimes underestimate the importance of movement being part of our mental health, don't we? You were just saying earlier, and I wondered if we could kind of start there, I guess, as to like the importance, but like you personally, as well, obviously, as the people you work with, how does movement really feature in your keeping your mental health like in a kind of stable sense?
I think coming from me personally, movement's always been, particularly over the last sort of, I'd say 6 or 7 years, it's been something that's quite ingrained in my lifestyle. And it probably started a lot longer than that ago, which I'll probably touch on that a little bit later. But I think movement has always been for me a way that I have, it's took me back inside myself rather than being in the busy life of everything that's going on. I have a husband, I have 4 kids, 3 crazy dogs as well. So life is chaotic at times, and it can be very overwhelming. And movement for me has always been my go-to when I know I need some downtime for myself, when when the brain is, my brain is constantly ticking, but I know when I get to that point when my cup is full that I need that time for me to refill that cup back up, and that's where my movement comes in. For many years it's been yoga, that the yoga has been my solid foundation all of the time. Always find that. Before obviously I found the A instead. But I like to do both. But again, I'm outdoorsy as well, Christina. I love a good walk. I love to be in nature. I like to be on my paddleboard. I like to be in the sea. Lots of different ways of finding movement. But it's just, it calms my entire nervous system down. It can take a state of high anxiety to just a release. I've let go. It can massively change my mental state by taking, even 20 minutes out of my day.
No, I love that so much. Thank you for sharing that, because I think a lot of the time, life is busy. And I mean, God, it sounds like with 4 children, 3 dogs, husband, and you're running your own business, that's a lot. And I think a lot of the time you hear of women, well, and men, all of us, but I think, we were saying, especially women, feeling like we're running the show and multitasking and spinning all the plates. And so it makes total sense that we get overwhelmed, where it's all too much. And I think sometimes we tend to think that stress is in the mind. And to a certain point it is, but it's biological, isn't it? You just mentioned there about your central nervous system. Obviously, you are a very experienced yoga teacher, and with your grounded yoga, but also your aerial. Can you just kind of touch on that and expand a little bit more about actually, how we can learn to manage stress through the body? Because it is that stress response, and we can either like clench up or actually move it through, can't we?
Yeah. So, as with all movement, you need the breath. And the breath can do amazing things within the body. You know, it can really calm that entire nervous system down. We do a lot of practice of breath work in yoga, but you know, you can find the breath, it's an unconscious, isn't it? It can be voluntary or unconscious. And I don't think we fully utilize it to its full potential, the breath.
Mhm.
You know, you can use a breath to just calm yourself down, can't you? You know, it's
Mhm. Mhm.
and we do, I mean, a lot of it is that essentially what we do in the practice of yoga. You know, it's not just about, you know, moving the body, it is about some, you know, using the breath. But even, you know, when you're out for a walk, a run, whether you're swimming, cycling, whatever you're doing and move, we use the
Mhm.
breath. That is a big part of kind of calming that entire nervous system down, and we don't realize that.
Yeah.
So it was like what, you know, you were saying with your breath work. You know, you can notice massive shifts in your energy when you
Yeah.
start breath, and that comes with just moving your body as well.
Yeah. And don't you think, I was having this conversation with someone the other day, it's the foundational things of nutrition, hydration, connecting socially, and moving your body. There, and I think that's why we overlook them, don't we? Because we realise that actually when life takes over, we're like, oh well, I'm too busy. I'm too busy to do that. But actually it's foundational. It's like building a house. When you've got a crumbling foundation, like it's gonna topple basically. So it's kind of, I love what you said about, you know, knowing that actually it's kind of ingrained, isn't it? It has to almost become part of your lifestyle, a bit of a non-negotiable, doesn't
Yeah,
it, for it to really get to
yeah.
where you want to be.
Like you say, those are the foundations. You need to sort of tick the, I guess it's some of the boxes that you often take for granted, don't you? Because you
Yeah.
think you're doing all of these other things,
Hmm. Hmm.
those foundation things come, like you said. But
Yeah.
it's, you know, I think we lose ourselves a lot, Christina. You know, we you know, there's expectations that, you know, that we think that we have to live up to, and we have to put on ourselves and do this, and this. But really, like I say, I mean, I say to lots of my ladies that walk through my door, you've got to fill your own cup first. You've got to make sure that you are given to yourself, because sometimes it is, if we don't give ourselves that permission, you know, to relax, to stay still for a moment,
Yeah.
constantly in that thinking mind as well. You know, we should be this, and this.
Yes.
But actually, we should be putting the foundations in place, and this is what we should be teaching, you know, our children. You know, look after
Oh,
yourself, make sure that all
yeah.
ticking those boxes first. Because as I say, when our cup's not full, particularly as a woman, you cannot give to other
No,
people.
exactly.
You
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah. And I think that's the number one thing we see, that, you know, with burnout, because essentially we are primed and conditioned to give to other people. It's, you know, I mean, we hear it all the time. It's people pleasing. It's, oh, well, I want you to be well. I want you to be okay. But I think it is getting trapped in these cycles of trying to pour from an empty cup, that actually you must see it with the women that come to your studio, of like actually this depletion of just like, oh, you know, like I'm crumbling. And it's like, yeah, because you need to prioritize your own time. You
Yeah.
you were saying earlier that you've added yin yoga. For those who are maybe not familiar with yin as a modality within yoga, maybe you could speak to that a bit.
So yin is a much more, it's kind of a restorative and slower practice to, you know, like the vinyasa, the more faster styles of yoga. And it's funny because I'm laughing because if anybody's watching who I teacher trained with, I had a complete 360 when I did my teacher training in yoga, and I was all about I just want to do the poses and I want to do this, and I had a massive shift in spirituality when I did my teacher training with Emma Newitt. It was a real roller coaster for me. And then sitting still was something that I never did. I couldn't switch
Mm,
off, relax in Shavasana. I would be the one that rolled up my mat before the end and lesson. And it was me. It's took me years to
mm,
find that point where I can just shut down and shut off. But yin, they will laugh because it just did not come naturally to us, you know, being in a classroom doing it, sitting still in a pose for like 3 to 5 minutes, you know, you hold it.
yeah.
Um, and a lot of it is it's not about the pose. It's about, you know, doing the work internally, and that's obviously where you see the real effects of what yoga can bring. And you know, the ladies that come, there was a kind of half of them kind of wanted to do it, half of them didn't. You know, a lot of them are very much like me, you know, me and you know, and they didn't want to sit still with their own thoughts for an hour at a time. But it just, I mean, it's brought so much change a lot of their lives, and it's been a massive release of emotional, any trauma built up, you know, any emotions that, I mean, we do a weekly practice now. We actually focus all on the chakras. We do a
Nice.
chakra, like haul out
Cleansing.
centers. It's worked really well every week. So, you know, you can literally see a massive shift in everybody's energy when they come. Kind of, they've all said it's great for like a mid-week overhaul, they say, kind of throwing out all the crap that's happened over the weekend and the start of the week.
I love that.
On.
Yeah.
It is a really great practice. It's very challenging, kind of emotionally, mentally, spiritually, because it's teaching you to slow down, really.
Yeah. And I think that I always think of, you know, certainly in my coaching practice, the way I describe it is, you know, energy's in a wave, right? And we're constantly evolving and changing. And, you know, I love kind of intense exercise where it's kind of, you're in that full activation mode where you're like, yeah. But then I also, and I've had to learn this, to slow down and just come home to yourself and to almost find some stillness. And I think there's often a lot more discomfort in the stillness than there is in that activation, isn't it? And it's like, it's kind of like rewiring your system. That's, I know for the longest time I've had people say to me, oh yeah, Shavasana is like the hardest pose because you've just got to, what, you want me to lie here and think of nothing? Are you crazy?
It's hard. And even for me as a yoga teacher, it's been something that I've had to learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. It hasn't come to me. I've had to embrace it basically and surrender myself to making that change. But yeah, I hear that all the time in yin, that you know, I think it's funny because when you watch people, some of them will constantly move, they'll twitch, you know, they're very fidgety because, you know, you can see the brain's ticking over and the brain doesn't want them to do it. The brain wants them to be doing all those things that it should be doing. But really, you need that within the body as well. You need to find stillness. And when the brain is quietened, when you like kind of quieten down the noise around you, it's when some of the great things, you get some of them great thoughts come across, you know, it opens up the doors to other things. I've had one of my friends, Kelly, who comes, she is also a coach as well. She, one of her kind of ideas from our programs came when she was just in our stillness. She was like, Rebecca, she was
like drops in
agent thought, you know, and she shared it at the end. She was like, you know, because she was just so zoned out and focused on herself. But I know that some people struggle with it because you think you should be doing something else other than focusing on yourself.
I love that. No, I love that you give that example because I notice that I get stuck in productivity, or I start should on myself that I've always got to be productive. And then I've got to remind myself, well, no, hold on. Rest is actually productive. It's productive because it is recalibrating you at a cellular level, because it's part of us. We're not machines. And I think this is where this hustle culture that we've had, and I think it's changing, is actually reminding us of, no, it's as important to take those times just to slow down and be. So you can amp up your energy, yes, but then learn how to ride that wave. So then when a challenge does hit you, you've got that foundation, you've got that capacity where you can roll with it, and you're not just, it doesn't take you out kind of thing.
Yeah, I think, and it also, I think it helps sometimes to make those clearer decisions, and you think more, instead of making irrational decisions, you can think, you know, you get those decisions from the heart more often instead of just, you know, the first thing that creeps in when you don't have a million things. Kind of, I keep calling it a bucket, but that it always resonates with me that we keep filling up this bucket that we've got, and it could get top, and there's only one place, it can just overspill, can't it? That's the only thing that resonates with me. Bucket. But I think it clears the mind, doesn't it? But but exercise, is a great way of doing that as well.
Yes.
So that's, you can also have those thoughts when when you're exercising as well. But yes.
No, I love that so much, because it is, all emotions are energy in motion. And so if we can try different practices, and that's the beautiful thing, and hence why I'm having lots of beautiful conversations this week with yourself and other practitioners, to kind of go, there's so many different ways you can move your body. And it's just about finding the one that you like the most, and then just being open to try different things.
Yeah.
I'm really curious, because obviously the backdrop, people can see your aerial stuff. What got you into aerial?
Oh, do you know, when I did me teacher training, so I did teacher training, this is going to take us back very quickly. I did a yoga teacher training course about 10 years ago, and it was at that time I had my firstborn, and I lost my dad at the same time.
Yeah.
And I did practice, I dipped out in and out of yoga before that, but I never really fully committed to it. I was always too busy. So then I really lost myself when I had Tyler prematurely. He was 10 weeks early, and my dad died not long afterwards.
Oh my God. I
got really bad postnatal depression, and I probably suffered probably a good 2 years with that, Christina.
Really?
I dipped out of it probably years afterwards as well.
Yes, of course.
And carried a lot of things with us at the time. Very, very up and down year, or couple of years.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So then I actually went into yoga before I went and taught adults. I did my adults teacher training, then I went into kids yoga, mainly because I'd had this premature baby, and when I got depression, I needed to get out. I knew I needed to get out and not be in the house. I needed to move. All I was doing was sitting in the house with Tyler all the time, and getting myself into this never-ending cycle. So then I went and did baby yoga, kind of started a business from that, and I sort of got hooked on yoga. But then I only really, well, as you know, I started a kids yoga franchise, and so be it, and so all. But that kind of all changed when COVID hit, and COVID for me was a massive, another massive shift in myself. COVID, and it was awful for so many people, awful. I struggled in COVID, obviously I had to homeschool the kids. Neil still worked through it because he was in construction. Not seeing friends and family. It was a huge disruption, I think, for my mental health again.
Yes.
And I went back and did more teacher training in yoga, and that was a massive game changer for me. To find like that, I had to throw myself into something else to take my mind off what was going on around us. And I did that, and then it was my teacher at the time who taught me, got us into aerial, and I did a teacher training program, and that was it. I was hooked, Christina. From the minute I put that in my bedroom, I was like, oh my goodness, I just loved being upside down. I did. Aerial has been, it's in my soul. Everything about it I love. It's my absolute passion. And I do love mat yoga. I love being on the floor. I love being grounded. I love being outdoors doing yoga.
Yeah.
There is something about doing aerial that, it's exciting, it's creative, it just makes you feel alive, and I love it. And I love seeing all the ladies, and we're talking about different forms of exercise, and I've managed to get so many different women of all ages through this door to try aerial. And I started it a good year and a half ago, and I've got the same clients, I've got new clients, and they absolutely love it. And it's for some of them, it's the only bit of movement that they kind of get, and they love everything about it. It's just amazing. So
I want to come and have a try in your hammocks, because it just looks glorious. And to your point, it's funny, it got me as you shared that. And it does, it just, the passion radiates from you, Rebecca. It really does. Like, it just transcends words, just your passion for it. And for anyone's watching, and Rebecca will share links to profiles. She's got so many amazing reels of her doing like different moves, and just, it's incredible. But it kind of got me thinking, you know, you think about how much we muck around as children and that we're always like upside down doing like headstands, handstands, cartwheels. And as adults, we just stop doing that. I mean, I love a cartwheel. Whenever I get a chance to do a cartwheel, I'm all on it.
I know I hear people saying that it's usually with a glass of wine and I'll get the cartwheel or something. I know every time anyone comes in, because I'm always upside, even on the mat, I'll do my handstands, headstands, anything to get upside down. And they'll laugh and they'll say, the last time I did this was in the living room with a glass of wine. I was practicing. I laugh. But we do,
yeah.
and we seem to grow up too quickly, you know.
Yeah.
This brings back a real fun element of
I was going to say, it's play, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of to do it just because I think we get into that adulting mode where we're like, and we become contained, don't we? Of like, oh, well, we can't make any like crazy movements, and then we like shut down our voice, we shut down like all of these things and start to live in these little boxes. And it sounds like through all of the practices that you do, it is about opening, moving, loosening, and creating space to just be. So important. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, my husband laughs because he'll say, you're not 21 again, Rebecca. And I'm like, well, I feel like I'm 21 because I live my life upside down. I love it. I love all the creative things that I get to do. I'm very, very lucky to be able to do it. So,
well, I think you've done it by design, and I think that's the other beautiful thing that also came up for me, because similarly, you know, your story resonated with me, losing a parent, and navigating grief, and that's another thing that for your mental health, and it certainly is. You know, even last summer for me, because my dad passed 2022, my mum passed 2010, and grief is such a difficult emotion to process, and movement's been absolutely key for me. You know, yoga, sea swimming, salsa, dancing salsa has got me through so much. So I'm going to be talking to my salsa teacher as well on live, because that's been my moving meditation. Like, it's just been so wonderful. But I think, you know, for anyone listening, if they're maybe thinking, yeah, like maybe I'm not moving as much as I could, like what kind of tips would you say to people if they are maybe they haven't tried aerial yoga before? Maybe, you know, what are some of the things you would say if people have got out of the habit of kind of just trying something new?
So I would say, we were having this conversation just before you came on about not moving, and I think if you haven't recognized, you know, if you are struggling in any way with mental health, or you feel a bit down and you don't recognize yourself that you haven't moved in a long time, because I do think it's quite hard as well to one, have a conversation with anybody about it, and two, sort of pinpoint inside yourself like what's wrong sometimes, or what's missing, or what you're not doing. So I think those two things are quite important. But I think for me, I have a really strong network of friends, and I, you know, perhaps asking someone in my friendship group, you know, if I'd shared with them how I was feeling, and you know, like you were talking about that checklist: are you eating well? Are you sleeping well? You know, is anything happened? Are you moving? You know, are you getting out for a walk? Because I mean, regardless of whether it's aerial, you go to the gym, or you sea swim, or salsa, whatever you do, adding movement into any part of your life, it's like magic. It is a medicine, isn't it? It can massively shift your mood from feeling down here to feeling here. It just has clearing whatever's going on up here and kind of here as well. So I'd say the first thing I would do is always kind of find out what my friends are up to, because most of my friends move, and I know they move, and I know they do something. I've got a gorgeous friend who I only recently found like a year ago, Jilly, who I share my aerial passion with, and she has been a massive like, she's just a jewel in my life, Christina. You know, she shares my passion, she shares similar thoughts and values in life, and she's got me doing all kinds of other crazy things, you know, just to move, to get out, you know. So I would always probably go to me one or two friends and
network,
find out what they're doing, because I think if reluctant to get out and move or try something new, it's
Mm.
go with a friend, isn't it? And
Yes,
you've
for
got some
support.
support there.
I
I'll often
totally agree.
have, when I have people doing one-to-ones in here, it'll often be two-to-ones because they always want to bring a friend along, which is great.
Yeah,
It's fabulous, and you've
yeah,
got like a cheerleader there to cheer you on, which always, lifts you
yeah,
again.
yeah.
So that's why I love the groups that we have, because the women, they are so uplifting with each other, that massively shifts your mood as well. So
No, it does.
going with a friend, because I do think sometimes when people go to maybe fitness classes or new yoga classes, you sometimes get a fear, don't you, of going
Oh,
into,
totally.
you don't know what to expect, you don't know what the group's going to be like.
Yeah,
But it's nice to find a group that shares similar, thoughts and experiences.
yeah. Yeah, you
But
can find your tribe, can't you? You can just
I,
find people who resonate with you, and then it opens up a whole new world. It's like new portals that are opening up. And I think sometimes, a lot of what I say is that when we're feeling low or we're feeling kind of like insular, like we feel like we're coming in on ourselves, and maybe we have recognized that actually I haven't moved in a while, that actually that's just your body's way, that pain, that kind of discomfort is a signaling system to get you to kind of go, I often say pain stands for pay attention inside now. Like it's your body's way to say, you need to move me because I need to be able to regenerate and connect. We're wired for belonging, aren't we? And so I love that you're stacking that, because it is about being able to have that social connection with the movement, with doing healthy, things like hydrating and nutrition, and all of those things are then, well, it culminates to a lifestyle, to your point, doesn't it? It's a way of living your life, which is brilliant.
I think it kind of adds layers to it as well, doesn't it? So you're just kind of reinforcing, the first part is to get out and get moving. The second part maybe is do it with a friend. So at least you've got that, the
Yeah, I
second
love that.
is,
Yeah.
a supportive person to do it with, who will, on the days where maybe you're like, I don't really want to move
Yes.
today, actually my friend to tell me we need to go on that walk. So, you've
Yeah,
got
I love
body
it.
well, because sometimes I have found through experience that it, on some of my low days, and I get some of them now, Christina, I get it now.
Mm.
I know my friend will motivate me and she'll be like, no, I know that you need to get out, Rebecca, and you need to move and we need to do
Yeah,
this. So
yeah,
for me, that quite often goes hand in hand, my movement with my go-to friends, to
love
get
it.
me moving, um, in anything, really,
Yeah.
anything.
No, I think it's great. It's a great advice, and it's something that we overlook. And like we said at the top of it when before we came on live, that getting your foundations right and actually knowing that, I am on this wave and I can be at the low part, but knowing that there's people out there and nobody's alone. If you
Yeah,
feel alone, it's just not the case. Like there's always somebody to reach out to. And, I think for us both, right, we've obviously had very challenging times, be that emotionally, mentally, physically, and knowing that actually it is about kind of rebuilding yourself. And it's that reminder to say, actually, we're all resilient, and there will be times that are hard, but we can get through them.
and you know what, Christina, it's absolutely okay. It's fine. There's nothing shameful about it.
No,
All have, life isn't perfect. The
far
roller
from
coaster
it.
happens all the time.
Yeah,
Take the ups, we take the downs. It's fine,
yeah,
and everybody deals with it in different ways. It's
absolutely.
what we say inside the class. We talk about the ego loads. The ego within all of us is that the part that, we can't be like that. We can't be sharing that information. We can't be talking about that. We shouldn't be doing. But
Judging.
we should
Yeah.
because
I think that's what's beautiful. And I think you just phrased it absolutely gorgeously, Rebecca, of just that allowing and
yeah.
that creating that culture. And well, how amazing that you're that role model for your boys,
Oh,
that they're seeing their mum just, being real and being authentic and kind of going, you know what, life isn't just this, and it's not, I'll be happy when either. It's, what, it's moments of darkness, but then it's moments of glimmers and light and beauty. And then you're back down again, but it's undulating and it's constantly changing.
I think with the boys, I just want them to know that there may be sad times, you know, and that's okay. And you're
Yeah.
allowed to cry, you're allowed to be angry, you're allowed to be frustrated, as long as they have the necessary tools, you know, and they know they've got the power within themselves, Christina. They don't need it from any.
Yeah.
They have the power to change their mental, you know, outlook. They've got the power to do whatever they want. And I want them grown up knowing that. So, you
Yes.
know, I hopefully
Such an important.
taught them enough to be.
Yeah. I'm sure you have. I mean, but that's how we create healthier, more rounded people, that you've actually got the power within you. And because I think a lot of the time we tend to think it's outside of us, you know. I love that we're having this conversation on social media and being real about it, because I think so many times it's this, you know, filtered, oh, you know, I'm only on here because I've got it all figured out. No, like we're both here to say we haven't.
No,
And you know,
I'm never ever. I'll always, well, I always do. All the women that know me know all of my story. They know all the raw bits of me. You know,
yeah,
I don't ever pretend what you see is what you get, kind of thing.
that's
And
lovely.
I'm just a human being at the end of the day. And
Yeah,
I think I'm a more relatable person when I am authentic than
totally.
or mask it. And
Yeah, but it gives people permission. I mean, we were talking also about this of, you know, when you're showing up fully and kind of going, you know, I'm far from perfect, nobody is, then people can start to go, oh, and then they maybe start to feel comfortable to share their stuff. And it's like, that's what we need. We need to have a world where we can all feel like it's okay to not be okay, and we can share it without any shame at
yeah,
all. But
absolutely.
it's a practice for sure. So for people listening or watching this on replay, whichever, if they wanted to come and try some of your classes, can you let people know where to come and find you?
Oh yes. I am, well, actually, I work out of my little studio, which is home based in a little village called Cleedon, which is kind of just on the boundaries of South Tyneside. It is a small studio. We've got like a capacity for 9 hammocks, so you know it's quite small classes. But I have a full timetable online at www.rebeccareilleywellness.co.uk if anybody wants to join, and I offer private sessions as well. So for those people that just want to come along and try it, because I get loads of people that want to try hoop, hammock, sling,
Mm,
mat yoga. They'll just come along and book a private session, and
mm,
you know, or with a group of, you know, like their close group of friends, they'll come and do it
mm.
as well. But it is so much fun, and at least
I love it.
if you don't want to take it up afterwards, at least you can always say you've tried it once. You'll have a good laugh when you're here.
Exactly. Oh, well, I love that. And thank you so much, Rebecca. Like,
Okay.
I'm just, yeah, you've lifted me today. So thank you so much for just coming on and just sharing such heartfelt openness and just the love of movement. And if you know, I'm hoping that, you know, people have taken away like, you know what, I'm going to try something new, or actually I haven't moved in a while, I'm going to go out and I'm going to try something. I mean, that's amazing.
Get up, move your body, and you will feel so much better for it. So much better.
Absolutely. Yeah, mic drop. Brilliant. Love it. Right. Thank you for joining me. Rebecca, you stay still. I'm going to end the stream, but I want to thank you off to the back of this. Thanks everyone for joining.